Hello, my name is Brian Galebach, and I will be a guest commentator in this video for Dweebovision. I am a North American Scrabble expert, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully, this will help to improve your game and be fun to watch. I will be playing this game with the North American Tournament word list and the double challenge rule, in which a lost challenge results in a loss of turn. The game is just about to start, so let's join the action. Alright, it's my opponent to go first. I have a Z, which could be used for a good scoring effect, depending on what happens with my opponent's play. I also have an A, which goes well with a Z, making the two-letter word za. So I'm hoping that my opponent plays somewhere where I can get a good score for that. All right. Well, there's no A's in the word toiled, so I can't make a perpendicular two-letter play. But perhaps I can make a high-scoring play with a Z on maybe this triple letter square or double word square. Okay, I'm close to the... I could play Zaftig. That only scores 22 points, leaving AY. Could play Gaze for 28. All right. Trying to see how I can get a Z on a triple letter square. I'm not seeing how to do that. I could play lazy, and that also gets rid of the Y, which is not a very bingo-y tile. That's 36 points. That may be my highest scoring play, so I think I'm going to go with that. All right, now I have a duplicated G. Not a very balanced track. I only have 2 vowels out of the 7. Now, I could play floatage to the E. That would play off 6 of my tiles, just leaving G. Now, can I play something to the Y? Not that I can see. Now, I still have an A for going after the Z, but then I'd have to place an O after the Y, and I don't see how I could make a good word there. All right, so I'm looking at floatage right now. All right, and that, unfortunately, is blocked. Now, what can I do? I could play something coming down from the Y, starting with an A or an O. Not seeing a good option there. Maybe the word gloat somewhere. Looking through the eye for a possibility, not seeing anything. All right, I might just go with gloat or float. Gloat would be better to break up the G's. Opening up the board and not using too much time at this early stage of the game. FG, not a great leave. 12 points, not a good score. Can I do something better than this? Even using the Z somehow, even if I just played through it, could be better. Could play Foggy to the Y. LAT is a much better leave. That's a better score. Not a very good... I could play Flaggy instead. That's going to get doubled. That's a better play. OT is fine. 28 points is fine. All right. Now, through an I have Lothario. So hopefully this I here remains unblocked, and I can make that play. Now, it's not going to play through here because OA is not a word, so I'm hoping this line is not blocked. Hopefully my opponent will be attracted to this lane going to the triple here. Now, what else do I have if that is blocked? Not seeing anything right away. What can I play down to the triple? I could play gloat. I don't see a way to get GH here. Sometimes there are words that start with GH. I'm not seeing one that is on my rack. Just considering some of the other floaters, I'm not seeing a way to get a bingo. Looking from the D, no. All right, well, that's unfortunate. That was my spot for my bingo, but my opponent instead gets a bingo. But now, maybe I can play something to this triple. Now, loathe is L-O-A-T-H-E, and I don't believe L-O-A-T-H takes a back S because that's an adjective. All right, so what else can I play? And this V is going to be very blocky for the board, so that's unfortunate. I'm not seeing a way to make a good scoring play. I want to use the H if I can. Well, I was looking at gloat, but I don't think that's going to score very many points. Only 21 points, but it does have the advantage of opening the board back up a little bit. All right, where else can I use the H? All right, I think I'm going to go with gloat. All right. I'm a little bit vowel heavy here. I have the 5-letter word E4. Not seeing where that plays. I'm not far behind. Despite my opponent getting a bingo, I'm only behind by 14 points. So I had some reasonably scoring plays in a lazy and flaggy. Now E4 takes a back I, and I have an I, so I could play E4I somewhere. That would be only 18 points, but a leave of E. Again, I want to try to look for where can I play the H to a little bit better effect. Okay, another bingo by my opponent. All right. Now, this gives me a good spot for my H, and I could play something like heap, but that leaves a lot of vowels. Now, I could play heapy, I know is valid. Does it compare heapier? I believe that it does. That would be 37, leaving me with just O. But I don't want to use off a lot of tiles and go through the bag very quickly, seeing that I'm trailing in the game. Now, looking at some of these different lines here. Not seeing a good way to score there. All right, I believe using the H here is correct. Trying to look to see if I had anything across. I don't think I did. I think I am going to go with heapier. Well, yeah, I like a better rack balance at this point. I'm going to go with this. All right, now I draw a lot of high point tiles, so my focus over the next couple of turns is going to be to try to score with these high point tiles while cleaning my rack up, moving towards a bingo. Now I'm close to cobweb if I had an E to play through. There are no floating E's. There are E's to end a word, but that would not be cobweb. Now, I'm still looking up here at this spot. I only have one vowel, which is problematic here. So first I'm going to need to make a play that scored. Now box fits the bill. That's 30 points. Now I could try to keep the X for a higher scoring X play. So I could play instead maybe something like bow. Then I have B, C, F, X. Now an F also goes here. So I could play fob. Almost no matter what I do, I want to play off a B. I don't want a duplicated B. Although I'm not really looking to play a bingo probably even in the next 1 or 2 turns. So a duplicate wouldn't be horrible. Now, okay, all those plays are good. And this play is problematic for me, and that takes out my spot to make any kind of a reasonable play here. Now, do I have something ending in an E? Ooh, not with this stuff. All right. Cine. Does that take a back letter? Not that I have. Perhaps I could play something through these 2 I's. I just don't have a very flexible rack here. Wow, pool really messes me up in that I don't really even have a good way to play. Perhaps I should think about exchanging, although it's horrible to exchange. Okay, how about something through Corf, I believe is good. And that's 26 points. That uses the O, which I didn't want to do, but what other options do I have? Not really anything. Okay, so we're going to go with this. I draw an E, 2 more consonants though. So I'm going to look to try to keep scoring highly. Now, I'm not a great amount behind. I'm about 1 bingo behind. So if I could keep the scoring going reasonably well, I can stay within striking range for when I get a bingo rack. Now, again, the board is not great for if you don't have a lot of vowels. Now, an X would go here, but unfortunately I don't have an I or a U. That would have been a reasonably good scoring play. Trying to see a play that ends in an E. I'm not seeing one. All right, where can the X go? Not really much of anywhere. Wait, Dixit is a word. That uses 3 consonants, scores 25, a reasonable score. I am using the X, but I need to use consonants, so I think this is a good play. All right, now we're getting closer to a bingo. If there were an I to play through, I'd have webbiest. Now this board doesn't look promising for my opponent creating a floater that goes into the open. So barring that, what can I do instead? Now I have the 3-letter word ebb. That plays here for 28 points. And perhaps if I could keep scoring close to 30 every turn, I can get a little bit closer, creep up on score to my opponent. Ebb seems all right. That would keep ESTW, which would be the best leave I've seen in quite a while. There is an I. Fantastic. All right, and 1 space further down. All right. Well, that gets me back into the game. I have a small lead now. Now, I pulled a lot of vowels, which is predictable since we had a lot of consonants earlier. The bag is bound to be a little bit more vowel heavy. Although looking at the bag now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 out of 29. Well, that's a fairly balanced unseen pool. Now I have 11 minutes and 31 seconds and 22 tiles remaining, so I'm doing pretty well on time this game. Rather than getting phased out early in the game, I played a little quickly, even though I might not have had the most optimal moves. All right, now my opponent gets 36, 20-point lead for my opponent. Now I want to try to use up several vowels. Now, how can I do that? Just looking at various lines here on the board, seeing if I could see something. Well, I could play AYE, which is effectively using 3 vowels if you consider the Y to be a vowel. Now, the M and the Y make a 2-letter word. If I could set up the Y in a different place, I could maybe use my M to better effect. Perhaps YEA is a better play here, except WA is not a word, so let's not make that play. That could be a mistake. All right. All right, I'm going to look for hook possibilities here on this board. Just sort of scanning here, looking for spots I've overlooked. I have 3 E's. It would maybe be nice to use off 2 of them. All right, I'm not seeing a lot of juicy spots on this board right now. All right, maybe AYE is the right play. Well, that doesn't seem optimal. This only uses 2 vowels, 14 points. What did this score? 17 points. Not much is scoring a lot here. Now, I don't want to use too much time on this play. I could just play Z for 12. That uses 2 of the 3 E's. That maybe is going to be more balanced than anything else I can do. I could play me, although that uses a consonant. That's only 18 points. I need to really fix the vowel consonant balance here. I'm going to go with Z primarily because of that, and it's not opening up anything great for my opponent. All right, I draw a K for scoring. That's a great scoring tile. Welcome at this point in the game. All right, my opponent gets a good score with hand. I'm trailing by about 30. I need to pick up the scoring here. I didn't score well with my last turn, which is a problem. What can I do with the K? I could play OK. That might be an OK play. 22 points for that. What else can I do with the K? I'm considering the word yuck, but I'm not seeing where to play that. Well, a Y goes here. Now that takes a back S, but there are no more S's. So this is not a dangerous play. 18 points. AEIM is a pretty good leave. This board is not very friendly for a bingo any longer, though. I do need to consider that, trying to keep my options open for a bingo in case an opportunity arises. Be nice to keep the upper part of the board more open. I could play Mike or make. 25 points. IUI is a terrible leave, though. Let's look at Yuck again. 18 points. I'm using the K, which is my scoring tile, but the K doesn't play well on this board, so I don't really hate this play. Let's try that. Hopefully I could pick up some good tiles. Alright, I pick up a U. The Q is still unseen, so that's interesting. There's another U still in the unseen pool. I'm 18 points behind with my opponent on turn. I could play Mu here. That would be 18, keeping double R though, and there are 3 more R's unseen. That's very unusual. So only 1 R has been played to this point in the game. Now, I have the 6-letter play Urania. That would be very undefensive, but 27 points is a good score. But if my opponent scores back very highly, then that negates the effect of the good score. So that probably is not a good option. Looking what I can even play to. Now this S is still unplayed to. Have I been not considering plays to this S? I think I have not. So I might have missed some good plays there, but ARMIES, armies for 30 points. That seems like a pretty good option. All right, so 30 points. That's a good score. Keeping RU. Are you satisfied with that play? Well, we'll find out. And hopefully it doesn't get blocked. My opponent has done a good job of blocking me so far this game, except he did give me the I and Wino, so that was welcome floater when I needed one. All right, I like armies. What else can I do? I have MU down here for 18, keeping 2 R's. 3 R's in the bag, though, seems very dangerous leave-wise. And unfortunately, my opponent blocks me and gets a good score, too. Oh, dear. All right, so what do I do now? I feel like I need to use an R. I'm feeling a little frustrated in this game. Now, I mustn't feel frustrated. I must keep thinking and trying to find the best play. Well, I hate to... This is so open. 27 points, though. This is bound to lead to trouble, though. I mean, what could I draw out of the bag that would overcome the score that my opponent is likely to get off of that? I can't really think of any scenario in which that's going to be good. Now, ER could end here. I could do maybe armor. ARMER, one who arms. I think that's good. Now, the Q has been used, so I don't want to necessarily keep the U. That scores 21 points, keeping IU. I don't like using a lot of tiles at this point, although I'm wary of those 3 R's in the bag. I'm thinking M, or MU rather. I'm going to have to open this up to get a good score at some point. This is not an opening play. M-U-R-R-A is a word. That keeps IE 25 points. This is not quite as reckless as the other play. Keeping IE, using 5 tiles though. But this is a little bit board opening. 25 is a good score. I've not seen anything better than this at this point, so I'm going to go with this play. Well, that's a good rack. All right, so do I have a bingo, a 7-letter bingo with this first of all? There are not many floaters on the board though, so it may not even be worthwhile to look at a lot of 7-letter plays. Looking through the M, I don't see an 8-letter play through the M, nor through the U. Not that it would play anyway, because it would be blocked with the Q. Now, if my opponent doesn't have a play here, he's likely to have some small play here, but if he doesn't play there, I could play something with an E here, an M here, something like dome. Dome would be 35 points. That would be an excellent score. So I'm hoping my opponent doesn't play there. Now, if my opponent does play there, what can I do? Maybe playing something to the G, although we're running out of tiles, so I shouldn't be going for a bingo. I should just be going for score, most likely. Now, I still have the M for scoring here, but this is only an 18-point play. I could similarly make an 18-point play here. Now, AW takes a back A or E. All right, my opponent does take that spot. Now, NU does not take anything behind it that I have. Now, I could play an E here. But then I can't seem to do much else with that. I don't see how I can open up the board for a bingo lane now. Unless I played 2 letters here. This is looking bleak. My opponent was just 1 step ahead of me at every stage in the game here. Perhaps I could play something here now. What letter could I play that my opponent might not be able to play behind? If I played an A, my opponent could use that. An I, yes. Only an R, really. Because my opponent might not have the E. That's a long shot. Alright, just trying to figure out how I can open this up. I'm not really seeing a way. Really, any play I can make, my opponent is likely to be able to use that. Now, I still have a bingo lane here, though. So that's interesting. My opponent might not block that. What could I do ending in ER if I played off a tile? Let's see, a voider. If I could draw a V, I could have a voider. Now, wait a second. I could also play an M here, making But then that blocks off the possible avoider line. That's a 1 in 8 chance, though. Here my opponent is likely to block this if I play that, though, so that doesn't seem like a great play. I at least have a 1 in 8 chance of drawing the V if I play off the M somewhere. Alright, so this is 10 points. Alright. I'm going to try that, hopefully draw the V. Alright, I didn't draw the V, but what do I have with this? Alright, my opponent does block that line, and there are no more vowels in the bag. And I'm out of options, and I'm out of time. Alright, so these people leaving and coming in are driving me crazy. Alright, and I could play the word ode somewhere, and that's going to end the game. Alright. Alright, did I spell that handle correctly? I think I did. Alright, so let's analyze the game and see what I missed. Alright, heapier is not valid, so only heapy. It does not compare, but my opponent did not challenge it, so that's fine. Now, what could I do with this? I could have played glazy. Instead, I played lazy. So I could have used off another consonant. That would have been good. Alright, here I could have played that word. Instead, I played flaggy. I have a better leave, though, with this word, so there's not a lot between those two words. Here, I would have had Lothario, but it got blocked by my opponent. Tholos was a way I could have played to the S. I did not find that play. I played gloat, which is a lower down suggestion. I could have played herpes. I considered E4, but then I didn't consider playing to the S, so that's a miss. Instead, I played a phony for 37 points, so a good score at least. Then I got socked with a bunch of consonants, so I could have played box. Where did that play? E7. Alright, so that plays here, but I was trying to see how not to use the consonant, but then I did end up, or not use the vowel, but then I did end up using the vowel anyway. Betwixt, well, that would have been excellent play. Playing through the I and the T. Those are difficult to see sometimes, playing through disconnected tiles. Well, I did play through disconnected tiles, but for fewer points. Now, I do keep a vowel with my play, so again, there might not be a lot between those two plays. Here, my opponent played the I, which I really needed, so that was great to find webbyist. That was the only bingo, of course. Here, I now have a lot of vowels. I could have played cinema from a C somewhere. Where is that? 11E. Okay, just playing the M and the A. Interesting. For 26 points, that's a good score using the M and the A. I played Z going for vowel consonant balance instead. Here I could play AY at N1. I instead played yuck. Alright, so I score fewer points. Alright. Here I could play Murrah. I did play Murrah, but my opponent gets a good score and closes off the board. Here I did not have a bingo. I was trying to figure out a way to fish for a bingo, going for the V. I did not get the V. My opponent had the V. And here there are no bingos, and at this point the game is pretty much lost as far as I could tell. And I played Ode for 5 fewer points, and my opponent challenged, but in double challenge you don't lose anything at the end of a game for challenging, so no points lost to my opponent. Well, that was a rather frustrating game for me. I felt like I was just not really getting in the groove with seeing possibilities, or for the most part, did not have good rack balance throughout the game. I tried to fix the rack balance, but I didn't do well enough. And my opponent just seemed one step ahead of me, blocking the spots I needed to play in right before I could get to them. And sometimes your games will turn out this way. It's tough not to get frustrated, but you have to just keep trying to plug through. I did give myself a chance to draw the V at the end. I did not draw the V, and my opponent blocked that spot in any case, so I would not have bingoed there had my opponent played there. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching me attempt to try to get back in the game, and hopefully this will give you the ability to plug through and struggle in your own games to try to get back in them as well. So I hope you enjoyed this game. My name is Brian Galebuck, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.